Hey everyone, putting together a little talking video here because I had a bunch of requests. Everyone kind of, clamoring around news around Epic Universe lately, including the media previews that just went on, team member previews were going on. And as of today, annual pass holder previews opened up for purchase on the Universal site. So you guys can go out there if you're annual pass holders, buy tickets to go check out everything Epic Universe. But I had an opportunity to go to Epic Universe as a family member during the team member previews. And while I couldn't take any photos or videos, I didn't break any rules. Although hundreds of other people broke rules, my understanding is that hundreds of people lost their jobs because of feeling so compelled that you had to take out your phone to be able to take a quick photo or video. Not me. But I did want to provide some feedback because I know everyone kind of hit me up on the socials saying, like, what did you think? What did you think? And I was trying to do my best to respect any type of requirements to try to not be so vocal about what I saw, especially since everything is still very much in technical rehearsals until opening day, May 22nd, I believe. And even during the annual pass holder preview days, it's still technical rehearsals. So the only thing that's changed now is that you're going to see the YouTube machines and TikToks and Instagrams flooded with videos and photos on all those socials about stuff. And everyone's kind of about, like, I don't want spoilers and no spoilers. And I mean, it's really kind of hard to ignore if you're any type of like theme park circle or looking out on any type of socials. I mean, the other part is Universal is one of the largest employers in the Central Florida area. And I think, if you're attuned to anything here, you pretty much have like a family member that works there in some capacity. But having said that, next thing I want to get into is like the comments online the last couple of days that I've seen around, like, is this the Disney killer? Is Epic Universe the Disney killer? Or is, this is going to kill Disney? Is it going to significantly hurt Disney and so forth? And I think even in the past in our old videos, we kind of said, this is going to be something that is going to probably suck some business away from Disney. Is this a Disney killer? No, it's not. Disney is going to continue to exist. And it's going to continue to keep drawing in people, regardless of if they're adding a ride or not adding a ride or attractions or anything else. People will go to Disney on the basis of what they've experienced before in the past and that magic that they felt as children or having their own children and wanting to experience it with them as well. So it's not a Disney killer. I will say that Epic Universe is very much in line with what I would expect for a third Universal park. If you like the Universal parks, you're going to love Epic Universe. There is a lot to love at Epic Universe. There's a lot of good stuff happening there. Rides, photo ops, shows, etc. I wasn't able to do everything on the visit that I did, but I was quite happy with the stuff that we did. And we kind of broke things down a little bit too. So myself and the family member who shall not be named, we kind of ranked things based off of a couple of different factors, like thrill factor, fun factor, immersive storytelling, technological innovation, and replayability. And again, this is off of technical rehearsals, so we're kind of putting these rankings out there, but this is really just what I felt like was the score of some of these things, at least at the time that I wrote things. Your mileage may vary because everyone has a different opinion on everything, but I figured let's get into it and I'll just talk a little bit about what I was able to do while I was there. And number one, and obviously the two biggest priorities for me at going into this were going to try to do the Donkey Kong coaster, so Donkey Kong Minecart Madness, and to also do the Monsters Unleashed. And every time I think of Monsters Unleashed, I was or Monsters Unchained rather, Unleashed, Unchained. Anyway, let's get back to Super Nintendo World. Walk into the place. There are a lot of stairs in Super Nintendo World, by the way, too. So spoiler alert, if you don't like walking stairs and you're like everybody else in Florida, you're just like used to one level and escalators and elevators, you're going to be walking up and down things, especially when you're even in the ride for Mario Kart. There's a significant amount of stairs. But Minecart Madness from Donkey Kong itself, I think the ride is awesome. For me, it's not a big thrill ride. It's kind of like, I would imagine, like the experience that you would have maybe in like an enhanced Goofy type coaster from Magic Kingdom, right? So the thrill factor we had at 3, fun factor was just awesome. I'm a huge Nintendo fan, and I grew up with Nintendo, like older Game Boy and NES and stuff like that, and So it's crazy to see like these characters fully blown in real life. Fun factor, I had a 4.25, and storytelling 4.75. It legit to me felt like you were going into into a game. So it was very cool. And technological innovation 4.25. No spoiler alert, but the car is jumping the track, and it's jumping in different areas and doing some really cool stuff that is like kind of magic. So I'm not revealing what's behind the magic there, but very cool stuff. Replayability 3.75 stars to me out of 5. It's something I'm sitting here just buying the annual pass holder preview ticket again today, and I definitely know that this is still the same thing that I want to hit first when I go back to the Epic Universe. Yoshi's Adventure is kind of the people mover or slow moving type thing, like Seuss Trolley type of ride for Super Nintendo World. And I'd say thrill factor, obviously low. Fun factor is fun. You have to go around and try to collect different things. And there's buttons for you to collect stuff. So the storytelling is part of that as well, kind of mid-range. The innovation, it is what it is. It's a small people mover type of ride. And you're riding in a Yoshi. It's really cool. And the replayability it's there. If there's no line, I'd hit it again. Bowser's Challenge Mario Kart the ride itself, to me, is the weakest link out of Super Nintendo World. You have to use like a AR type of headset, and it's cumbersome, and you're kind of weighing your head down, and it's, to me, it's not what it could have been. Mario Kart, you want to be going fast, and you want to have that feeling of going fast, and that feeling only happens at one part of the ride. So to me, easily the lowest scoring thing. I didn't have any food at Super Nintendo World. I did buy a bunch of merch at Super Nintendo World. It is crazy when you walk down the stairs or even come through the portal and seeing like everything in Super Nintendo World. It's freaking awesome. It's really, really cool. To me, that was awesome. The next thing on the list was Dark Universe, and I think to me and every other HHN fan that's out there, we've been living the Dark Universe for years in HHN with the advent of the revamped Universal monsters. So not using the classic like Boris Karloff type of Frankenstein's monster and stuff like that, but the newer versions that are out there, although the lineage ties in through the current story and everything too. So the first ride that we did when we were in that area was the Curse of the Werewolf, which is a spinning roller coaster. To me, very similar to Cobra's Curse out of Busch Gardens, Tampa, if you've been on that ride before. It does have some theming. It wasn't overly themed to me. There is kind of a really weird spot in the queue where they have like a video screen right above where the train cars would be coming in, and like not a hint of a werewolf showing up on that screen, at least not when I was there, but just more so like the moon and everything. And the ride vehicle itself, this was the most awkward, I think, to fit in tall folks. So instead of sitting with my knees like down like this, the ride operators had advised me to like kind of cross your legs, and that way the bar comes all the way down and wasn't crushing my kneecaps. But the Curse of the Werewolf was fun. It's a fun spinning coaster. It's over before you know it. So thrill factor was 3.5, fun factor 4, storytelling 3.25. The technological innovation, I feel like it's what I'd expect from a spinning coaster. And replayability, I definitely will be back for this again. Anything monsters, I would be back. If they added like 10 more monsters rides, I would be back for all of them. But overall, Curse of the Werewolf versus Cobra's Curse out of Busch Gardens. I would probably say I like Cobra's Curse better than Curse of the Werewolf. Maybe I just need to go on it more often to appreciate it more. Monsters Unchained. Monsters Unchained, every time I see that Unchained, I'm a huge Van Halen fan, so every time you think of Unchained, it's the one thing that's going to pop in your head, and anybody else that's out there that listens to Van Halen, you're going to hear that too. Thank you, because you're going to hear that in your head from now on, or you can thank me. Monsters Unchained, thrill factor 4.25, fun factor 5, immersive storytelling 5, technological innovation 5, replayability 5. I would give this thing just about 5s across the board. This is the ride at Epic Universe. It is very much in line with the same type of ride mechanics that are available at Forbidden Journey, at Islands of Adventure for Harry Potter. Same type of car, and you're moving back and you're moving forward and side to side and kind of moving around. But the animatronics are balls nuts. They are amazing animatronics. The screens are like, I don't want to say, people said it was like 8K. I think it was like 12K screens. There's a point in there where one of the animatronics jumps, we're seemingly jumping into a screen, and you can't tell the difference between animatronic and screen before it comes back out again. And it is just absolutely mind-blowing, the Monsters Unchained. I can't say enough about it. The queue is amazing. The pre-show, before Monsters Unchained, there is some stuff happening in that pre-show that I want to see it with like lights on and see how it works, because it is so freaking cool. Very, very cool stuff. So Dark Universe was awesome. While we were there, and I would have inserted pictures, by the way, any of the pictures that we're inserting here, they're all from Universal Orlando media sites, so they're not for me. I didn't sneak a camera in or anything like that again. They did have like photo op pictures of people there taking photos of like you in front of the portals, but ironically, like, we saw Bride of Frankenstein out, we saw like Igor out for meet and greets and things like that, but there were no photographers there to take a picture of you with them. So what are you going to do? Go up to them and talk to them and have a conversation? Hey, the weather's looking pretty great today. What do you think, Bride of Frankenstein? Like, there was no camera availability. So it was all just your personal experience and just being able to actually enjoy things without carrying a camera around. We did go to Burning Blade for the bar. I did try their house beer, which is a brown beer. And I would say, as far as being a beer drinker, and I love my stouts, I love browns, I love lagers and ales, less on the IPAs. But the beer in Burning Blade was one of the worst beers I've ever had. So take it for what it is. Again, everyone has an opinion. That's my opinion. But there's plenty more in Dark Universe, eateries and things like that I was not able to partake in, that I'm anxious to be able to do going back. Celestial Park, while I was there, Stardust Racers was down, or was closed for the day. They were filming like in-park stuff, and that also goes for How to Train Your Dragon, but I'll jump to that in a second. I was able to get on the Constellation Carousel, and in prior videos, I've said, I'm a big carousel guy. I like, the different carousels. We've been on some historic ones over the years, too, but Constellation Carousel reminds me a lot of like, Alien spinning saucers, or I think it's maybe like Luigi's Racers out in Disneyland and stuff, where you do rotate as a whole around, but then you're on these like smaller platforms with like 3 or 4 of the mechanical things that you're riding on spinning within the big thing spinning. And they also move to the beat of the music that's playing overhead. To me, this was one of the greatest carousels that I've been on, especially modern day. Thrill factor 1, nothing to write home about. It's a carousel. Fun factor 3.25. Excuse me. Storytelling 1.5, and technological 2, and replayability 3. I think it's definitely something to do, especially you got kids. They have the seats that you can sit down on in there as well. And Stardust, for all intents, I know a bunch of people that have been on that already. They love it. I can't wait to ride it, and hopefully that it's open when we go back for the annual pass holder days. Jumping over to How to Train Your Dragon, Isle of Berk. I feel like this is probably geared towards a younger generation than me, right? That's definitely the case. But I was looking forward to getting on Hiccup's Wing Gliders. Unfortunately, that was also closed for the day for filming in park for like the hotel channels and things like that. It looks cool. It looks like a very, very much in line to me as like a Seven Dwarfs Mine Train type of roller coaster. And the folks that I've spoken to have said that they've really enjoyed that ride as well. Dragon's Rally, or Dragon's Racers Rally, I didn't get to do that. It was a long line, like almost an hour or more. And it didn't look conducive to wanting to not, but maybe get sick. Take it for what it is. So it was probably lower on the list for what I would want to do. Fire Drill, likewise. It was open. It looks really super cool. But I didn't want to get soaked. The day that I went was a Florida cold day, and you get very wet on that ride. I did do or watched the Untrainable Dragon show, which to me, I would say it was not just about like 5s across the board. I love shows at the Disney parks, and I've said this repeatedly in our Universal videos that they were greatly missing shows until like the Bourne Stuntacular came back. I love like the Beetlejuice show that they've done for years. I was greatly saddened when they took that away. I love the horror makeup show. If you guys have watched our videos for any time, we've recorded that a gazillion times over. But the Untrainable Dragon is very much in line what I would say is like Finding Nemo at Animal Kingdom type of thing, or Lion King, like that type of production value. But I would say it takes it to like a different level, right? Like the theater is great. It's a really nice big size theater for a Universal park, so bigger than I think like we normally would even have in like the old T2 theater or Bourne theater and stuff. But there's some stuff that happens in that show, and I'm not giving spoilers away here, that I was like almost jumping out of my seat to cheer, like seeing the stuff like take place. It is really, really cool. And especially if you have like little kids, they're going to love going to that show. So that's something that we lined up for considerably early in time. And when I would talk about like crowds altogether before I jump to the next section, crowds are sizable, right? So I think well, I'll come back to crowds in a minute, so take that as a spoiler. The rest of the area, we didn't meet any of the dragons or stuff. We saw people meeting them. The lines to meet the dragons, like Toothless, I think the line was like 115 minutes or something like that at the time that we went, and I wasn't looking to invest 2 hours of my time to wait in line to meet Toothless. It's the pictures and everything that I've seen of everybody doing it. It looks incredible. So I would say, like, if there's no wait, by all means, like, that stuff looks super cool. There's dragons everywhere in that area, not only on the floor mobile, and meeting Toothless, but there's animatronics and things like all around. So it is really super cool if you're a fan of that franchise. Coming back to crowds in just a minute, but lastly, the last area that we were in was the Wizarding World of Harry Potter, the Ministry of Magic. The battle at the Ministry was closed at the time that we were there. They've just got that up and running over the last week, so I know media was able to go through it, and the folks that work on the ride have gone through it too. We were able to go through the queue and just look at everything. The queue is phenomenal. It is really breathtaking. If I was to say, try to put it in line with something at Disney, I'd say it's most likely in line with like the Rise of the Resistance, just the scale of just how big the queue is and how much stuff there is to like look at all around. I believe that I've seen that the queue can hold up to like 7 hours worth of people waiting in line, which is what I would almost anticipate people waiting in line to get on that ride when it opens up. If you remember back in any, like Harry Potter, when it first opened up in Islands of Adventure, so when they opened Hogsmeade, there was lines that went for hours and hours and hours just to get into that area. And then, when Diagon Alley opened up in Islands of Adventure, there were lines to, forever. It took forever to just get onto the Hogwarts Express to be able to go back and forth in the parks. And then when Escape from Gringotts opened, I think the first time that I tried to get on it, I waited like 5 hours in line to get on the ride. I don't see myself waiting 5 hours for anything ever again. But if the ride is as impressive as the queue or better, I think everyone's going to be in for a surprise of just how awesome it is. There is a show in Harry Potter also, and we did not get to do that the day that we went. So that closes out at least the different lands and the different stuff that we did. I will again circle back to the crowds to at least say the crowds that when we went, I'm told that they were at about like 30% of what the capacity was. And the wait times without express for the times that we were there, and mind you, some of the rides and the attractions were down and not running fully capacity at that point, were like anywhere from like 45 to 75 minutes to be able to get on to any of the individual rides. There's I think there's 11 attractions altogether, and some of them, again, like, it's not like everyone is an e-ticket, at least to me. Some of them are a little bit more basic, like your ETs and things like that, like, or whatever. that are probably less desirable for folks to go. Monsters, the wait, I think each time that we went on Monsters twice, and it was awesome. And the time was about like 45, 50 minutes or so to wait in line for that ride. And I would say it was well worth it. The environments all around, the attention to detail at Epic, it's second to none, right? Everything's brand new. It's super impressive. And I want to make sure, like, I'm trying to separate is it truly epic versus is it epic because it's new and I'm not used to it yet? But I think it's very much, it's an appropriate name. The park is epic. The time spent there was really cool. I'm very much looking forward to going back there again. I could see like going back there again, paying once as an annual pass holder and probably not waiting to go, or not going back again until they have some type of annual pass that incorporates the cost of Epic Universe as well. But there's plenty to see and do. I don't think that it's a one-day park by any means for folks. So I think anyone is planning like a vacation, they have those packages where you can only get like 1 day at Epic and 2 days at like another park. You're definitely going to want to spend at least 2 days in Epic to be able to see everything, because there is just too much to see. And probably whether it's waiting on lines or, incorporating time for like character meets and shows and things like that, you're going to want to spend more than a day at the park. So anyway, that's what I thought about Epic Universe. Looking forward to getting back there again in just a couple of weeks and being able to share it actually with some other family members so that they haven't gone before, and to be able to see, just how everybody enjoys things. And I think at that point you could probably take pictures or videos and stuff too that we'll share. So there may be spoilers in the future. Hopefully there wasn't anything that was like tremendously spoiling here. Everything that I've said, at least, or even referred to picture-wise, has been released by Universal by an extended period of time, so not breaking any secrets here for folks, but just expressing how I felt, which was just fantastic. Great experience. Looking forward to doing it again. Thank you very much for watching. Thank you very much for all of your likes and comments and subscriptions, and treat others the way you want to be treated. Have a great day. We'll see you guys.